Okay, so hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about why it's good things to use your LLM API through an API gateway. I'm Mathieu Ancelin. I'm the founder and CTO of Cloud APIM. I'm also a developer at Surly, and I'm the creator of the authorship project that I will explain a little bit about it later. Cloud APIM is a company that provides services around API management. We provide a managed instance of the authorship project. We provide some kind of serverless API management based on Git repositories. We provide web authentication enforcement, web application firewall, and also AI gateway endpoints as a service. So if you're interested, don't hesitate to go to cloudapim.com. So, unless you have been living in a cave for the last 2 years, there is generative AI everywhere. Every product announcement has some kind of Gen AI stuff included, and there is generative AI, LLM, whatever, everywhere. And today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how to use your LLM API through an API gateway. So, we are at API Day, so I think everyone here knows what is an API gateway. But the main idea is that with an API gateway, you can apply the same level of control across all your APIs, apply some kind of monitoring, observability, etc., regardless of the underlying technology of your API. And that's pretty much the whole point of this talk, is that we can apply the same kind of stuff to LLM APIs too, but with a little bit more of knowledge of the underlying protocol. So, why do I give this talk? I'm an API gateway developer. I will explain a little bit more about it later. And I'm not particularly a Gen AI fanboy. I think LLM are great tools, but like any other tools, it can be useful for some use case and not useful for other case. So you have to use them when you need it. But I see more and more projects that include some kind of Gen AI technologies, mostly LLMs. And they are using some kind of libraries like LangChain to handle this kind of usage. And those libraries tends to replicate some features that are in API Gateway for a long time. And I'm pretty sure that it's smarter to use those API through an API Gateway, so you don't have to worry about how you can query your LLM and just focus on what you are building. A few words about Authority. So Authority is an open source project. I created it like 8 years ago. It's an HTTP reverse proxy that can do API gateway and API management. It's a very great product, and you should try it. And for the last few months, actually, I think I created the prototype for this project like at the API Day last year. It's called LLM Authority LLM extension, and Authority is quite extensible, so you can create plugins or extension written either in Scala or in whatever language that can compile to WASM. And this project is about giving you tools to interact with LLM API through the Authority API Gateway with the best feature possible. During this talk, all the examples I will show you are based on Authority and the Authority LLM extension, but there are other gateways that can do some kind of AI gateway. And what I will show you today can also apply to a lot of those gateways. So let's start with AI in my gateway. The first thing to understand is how to use your gateway to access those API and to apply some kind of control on it. So the idea is to use your gateway to call the LLM API instead of putting it in front of your API. So here we are your internal application that just hits some kind of domain on your API gateway, and this domain will forward the request to either a local LLM API provided by maybe Oyama server, or to an online LLM API like Mistral, OpenAI, whatever. And the first nice thing about it is that you can have, just like that, a unified interface to call whatever provider you want. Sometimes it's some kind of vendor-specific API, and sometimes, mostly, I think, it's an OpenAI compatibility layer, so you don't have to rewrite your application that already works with OpenAI. You just have to consume this API and you're ready to go. And that's quite nice. You just have to learn this one API and use it everywhere. And the other thing that is great with that is that with this kind of unified API, you can consume whatever you want. So if you want to consume OpenAI, it's doable, of course. But if you want to consume, I don't know, Oyama servers with thousands and thousands of models available, or Hugging Face with also a lot of models available, you can do it. You can use XAI, you can use, I don't know, Mistral, Anthropic, Olama, whatever. And that's kind of cool because you don't have to worry about, oh, if I call this one, it's not really like this one. Okay, you just consume your API with the, I don't know, Open API compatibility API, and it's okay. Another thing that API gateways are really good at is resilience. We do this in API gateway for a long time. You can have some kind of automatic retry with circuit breaker or timeout management. So that's one thing. You can also provide some kind of fallback for your LM API providers. So if a call fails, or if it's too long because, I don't know, remote servers are overwhelmed, then you can fall back on another provider, like a local Oyama server, for instance, of maybe OpenAI or whatever. You can also do load balancing. You can load balance across the same model on different machine, or not the same model on different machine, or different providers, or whatever. You can do pretty much whatever you want. You can also do parallel call and choose the best for you. It's up to you. Like any other gateway, you can also provide observability and reporting on your API, on your LLM API. So you can then extract some information like what was the provider used, the model, what was the prompt, how many tokens were consumed for this request, who made the call, maybe it's an API key or a connected user. Anyway, you can do pretty much whatever you want. You have all the data available, and you can build some great reporting to know which API key has consumed the most token for last week or something like that. So here is an example of a document generated by Otoroshi. You have the provider kind, you have the duration of the call, you have the model used, you have the rate limits, you have the token usage here. You have information about caching mechanism, and I will talk about it a little bit later. You know which user, which API key, you can know the input prompt, the output messages. You can have all those information and build reporting on it. And once you have all this reporting data, all this observability data, then you can try to optimize costs, because sometimes those APIs can cost a little bit of money. So you want to add some kind of quota or to avoid making a request when you already have the answer. So you can use some kind of rate limiting, for instance, on tokens to avoid letting consumer do whatever they want. You can also use some cache mechanism, like if there is already exactly the same prompt than before, then return the original answer, or you can have some kind of semantic cache where we are going to create an embedding based on the prompt and search if there is another embedding through a vector search database that is quite similar using the cosine similarity. And if so, we return this response instead of calling the underlying LLM API. So that can save a lot of money. Here is an example of the rate limiting plugin in Authority. So it's quite flexible. Here I say that I want for every API key, I'm searching a time window and a max consumption value on the metadata of the API key, and we apply those values. So for each API key, you can define specific limits, and that's quite nice because you can say, okay, the API case from a marketing application can only consume, I don't know, 2,000 tokens per hour or per week. I don't know. You can do whatever you want. It's quite flexible. Another example here is the cache usage, the semantic cache here. So if I ask how an LLM works, then we have a cache miss because it's not in the cache right now. So we call the underlying LLM API. It takes like 10 seconds to generate a rich answer. And if you do it a little bit later with another prompt, like, can you explain me how an LLM works? That is quite similar to the previous one, then you have a cache hit because it's kind of similar, and you have the response in like 71 milliseconds. So that can be really useful. Another thing that is really important in my opinion is the prompt guards. So the idea here is that sometimes you have to use LLM APIs that are not in the same legal rules than you. Maybe it's hosted in another country with different laws about data privacy. So you want to avoid sending sensible information to those API without knowing it. So in AI gateways, you can configure some kind of guard to avoid sending the data to the provider you want. So in Authority LLM extension, we have some kind of simple guards like regular expression, contains, stuff like that. You can also call a webhook to validate a prompt before sending it. And you can also validate prompt using LLM calls. And we have some kind of predefined LLM configuration with I don't want to leak any secrets. I don't want to leak personal information. I don't want to have some toxic language or gender bias, stuff like that. And I think it's quite useful. I can show you a little demo about it. So here I have a provider, an LLM API provider in Authority. So it's an OpenAI provider. It uses a token from the environment variable. We use a GPT-4 Mini, and we have some guardrails configured. So here I say I don't want any toxic language to that can pass through this provider. And I'm using another LLM to do this validation. It's a local one on my own server, so the data does not go out of my network. So it's the provider setup here. And here I have some kind of web application that mimics the, I don't know, ChatGPT UI. And I can, and that use this provider in a specific provider. So I can say, hi, how are you today? So the LLM will answer my question. But if I say something like, you're stupid, then my message is blocked by the toxic language guardrails. And I think that's kind of cool. Okay, so back to the presentation. The nice thing with API Gateway is that there is a lot of mechanism to do authentication and authorization, more than the one provided by the LLM API providers. So you can have some kind of API key mechanism, Joe token, Biscuit token. You can use OpenID Connect or LDAP if you want, and you can apply a lot of authorization mechanism. Also, API gateways are kind of good at managing secrets. In almost every API gateway on the market, there is some kind of connector to fetch secrets from a secret vault. So the nice thing about that is that you can use those vaults to store your actual access token to LLM API, and let the gateway inject those access tokens directly on the fly for each request to, I don't know, OpenAI or whatever. So the example here is in my OpenAI provider, I can say that I want to use the OpenAI token from the local vault, or maybe from an Azure vault or an HashiCorp vault or whatever. You can do pretty much whatever you want. We support a lot of secret vaults. And that's that can be nice because you don't have to provide your secrets to all the application in your organization. So that's nice. Secret management is hard. With the gateway being at the center of everything, you can do some nice things, like you can provide some basic prompt engineering tools. Like you can add some context to a call, like pre-message or post-messages. You can also do some kind of templating, prompt templating, so you can create some kind of no-code APIs based on LLM response, and that's quite nice, like create a translator or something like that. And one thing that is really cool, and I didn't see it anywhere from anywhere else, but that is in Authority, is that you can use the gateway to run your two calls on the gateway, right on the gateway. So in Authority, you can define some kind of two call function that are reusable, and provide some code that can be compiled to WASM to this function. And then you can use it in your prompt, so the LLM can call it and get more contextual information for to answer your call. So it's kind of nice to do that because you can you don't have to handle the complex protocol between you and the LLM to handle two calls, and you can provide reusable function for your organization that can be really handy sometimes. So how does it work? You have to create a tool call function. You give it a name and you give it a description, and it's really important because this description will be sent to the LLM so that the LLM can know that this function can do that and that it can call it to have more information about your query. And then you have to specify the parameters of your function. It's a JSON format, JSON. I don't remember the name, but it's a data description in JSON. So you say that you want a departure and an arrival time. airport, actually. And then you have to provide the code. So here it's a really dumb function written in JavaScript. So I'm just returning the same data for any departure and airport, but it's just for the demo. And if you call your LLM API with this tool call enable, then you can ask at what time the flight from Paris to Miami goes and how many time does it take. And the LLM just say the flight is at 8 a.m. and it's 5 hours long, because I said so in the function. And this feature is only on Autorsheet. And you can do much more. I can give you like 3 small demo, and I will be finished. So the first one is, if you have some kind of route that provides some kind of personal information, like here, I have this route. Why is it so long? It's not normal. No, I was not on the right one. So I have this one that returns personal information about me. But if I create a route in Autoroshi, so that is exposed on this domain, and that will try to change the HTTP body with a prompt, like replace any personal information in the following message, then it will just do what I asked for. So here, if I go on this one and call it, okay, it will return because, sorry, in Autoroshi, I said that the backend for this route is my the API just showed up. And if I go back here, I have some kind of fake information about me while keeping the same structure. I can also create a route that can, if sometimes you want to create application, but the API is not ready yet, but you need the API to create the UI and stuff like that. So you can create a route with the help of an LLM to generate data. So here I say that the backend of this route is backed by OpenAI, and I say I want to generate an array of 5 objects that represents users, and my API will just work because the LLM will provide some kind of user array with fake informations. The last one is quite funny. It's just a goofy demo. You can do exactly the same thing than before, but with an other thing than JSON. So here in my response generator, I say that I want an HTML website that just looks like google.com, but is called Moogle. So I will call this one here. It can take a little bit of time to do it, but you can add some kind of cache, so it's okay. And I have my Moogle.com website that is generated. I don't think it's quite useful, maybe for scam or something, but it's quite funny. So back to my presentation. In conclusion, just use your LLM API through an API gateway. It will make your life easier. It will makes you spend less money on your LLM APIs, and it's a smarter move because the gateway will do all the heavy lifting for you, and you just have to relax and use your LLM in your application. Just a little last words. If you want to try the Autoroshi LLM extension, you can do it on cloudapim.com. You can use our serverless product to do it because there is a free tier. And you can also create some authority managed instances on Clever Cloud or very nice partner. Clever Cloud is a platform as a service cloud provider based in France. It's really great. So please go on clevercloud.com and use and try your own authority managed instance with the LLM extension. Thanks for coming. I can take a question here, but if you have some question, you can reach me on X or on LinkedIn. Bye.